this is Persephone, and today our very favorite sub Robert has actually sponsored this video. He sent me some things that he wanted me to watch. I'm sorry, Robert, this video I'm not going to include anything else because I want to do my own original thinking and sharing here. So before we start, you're going to say there is so much hypocrisy on you about me because you make money ripping off lonely men, exploiting them, making them more addicted, and so on. So consider this video my attempt to redeem myself by giving you all the information you need to turn your life around. If you don't want to turn your life around and you want to continue the general dystopian degeneracy, my OnlyFans is above. Make sure to subscribe. Now, I'm not going to start telling you the usual crap like, oh my god, pornography is harmful, oh my god, you need to stop. If you don't know me, I consider nofap one of the dumbest trends because the root of all addictions, and don't fool yourselves, compulsive masturbation and compulsive pornography watching are all addictions. It's not something that you can just cut off and move on and you're going to be fine. It creates a huge hole in your life that if you don't understand where it comes from and if you don't fill it with something else that is meaningful, you're just going to relapse right back in. And I'm a person with a very addictive personality, so in my teenage and early 20s years, I was unmanageable, uncontrollable, I would say, with so many compulsive behaviors. And it took a lot of research and self-help and therapy to get some results. So what I'm going to say now doesn't apply to everyone necessarily, but to a lot of the people who struggle with addiction, it does. Let's say that you're a beta man watching this. You had a less than idyllic childhood. Usually you had some cold, bitchy, controlling mom. In extreme cases, you could be having a personality disorder like narcissism or borderline, or she could have been mentally ill, like depressed. And you had a dad that was absent, either physically or mentally, or even if he was at home, your mom controlled everything. Like he could be also an alcoholic, he could be addicted to something, he would just come home from work like a drone and pass out in front of the TV after eating dinner, and he didn't do any actual manly things with you. And I'm making this video a bit more general because you don't have to have a micro penis or to have some other problem and to find yourself in this situation. Actually, it's much more related to your early experiences and your traumas than to your actual penis size. When you are a child and you go through extreme trauma or neglect or some kind of abuse, or you just grow up watching unhealthy situations, witnessing unhealthy situations between your parents, like abuse, dead bedrooms, your mom is actually raising you completely. And as progressive as I like to be, I don't believe that single mothers can raise healthy sons without some kind of healthy role model around, like a male role model. So what happens is that you end up with some kind of trauma, and if you are a child and you have a lot of stress, your adrenaline glands in your body do not learn how to produce adrenaline and secondary cortisol as well. That is another hormone in your body, but I'm going to focus on adrenaline in this video. You don't produce adrenaline normally. Normally is I have a high stress situation, I get some adrenaline pumped out to help me survive it, then the production stops, then until the next time, and you complete the circle of stress. Imagine that if we were in prehistoric times and there was, let's say, a wolf chasing us, our body would produce adrenaline to help us actually escape, and after that someone would come, let's say, save you, kill the wolf, you would bring the wolf to your village, you would celebrate that you were saved, and that completes the stress circle. When you are in constant low stress environment, your body is constantly producing adrenaline, and eventually either your glands get depleted and you cannot produce it, or you become desensitized and you are in the situation of apathy. It could lead to depression because adrenaline actually controls and helps regulate a number of other hormones in your body. That applies to both men and women. So what happens in this situation is that you start to seek outside sources for that. And if you go through life being an incel, like you go to junior high, you go to high school, you take one look at a woman and the woman feels that you harassed her or she wants to call the police, or you don't know how to relate to women. You could be autistic, maybe you don't know like social cues. These things actually sooner or later start to disappoint you, okay? And then somehow you stumble upon pornography, which is, in our times, it's everywhere. Like, you can get pop-up ads even if you don't watch an adult program. So you start watching it. That situation also can happen and escalate if you are a young adult and you are in a very stressful work environment, or you never left the nest and your parents are abusing you, or you have some kind of stressor. You watch. What happens when you watch porn and you masturbate and you ejaculate is that you get an adrenaline high, you get endorphins, you get dopamine, and you feel temporarily good. So you go back to do it again. Then you do it again, and eventually you get desensitized and you need more and more and more and more, because the problem with the porn content is that it escalates. You can go from watching romantic couples porn to extreme stuff in a matter of weeks, if not months. And I'm saying this because it has happened to me as well. And you're going to say, come on, women cannot be addicted to this. I have to say, when you watch stuff to film stuff, or when you watch stuff to see what other people are doing, I know how easy it is to go down that hole. So what happens is that, usually combined with the adrenaline and the lack of dopamine, because usually those two go hand by hand, and you don't have success in your life, you don't have happiness to naturally produce dopamine, you also have the third problem in this, that is low testosterone. Up to this day, I'm really shocked how so many people contact me and then they say, you're so smart, and this particular thing has just nothing to do with IQ, and it's putting two and two together. I'm going to simplify it. You eat shit, you watch shit, your life is shit, then you feel like shit. And I don't like using shit so many times in a sentence, but this is what it is essentially, which means you are in abuse, you have a dead-end job, or even worse, no job. You have toxic friends and toxic family constantly antagonizing you, constantly invalidating you, constantly giving you stupid advice that doesn't work, like, oh, just take a shower, or just brush your teeth, as if just going out is going to automatically give you a girlfriend. There are few things I hate more into this world than the men who do cold approach. That I'm at the gym and some creep is going to approach me to talk to me. That I'm at the supermarket and some creep is going to approach me to talk to me. The people who say just go talk to women are stupid. You should never do that. You should only talk to women in an environment where you know that the women are there to meet men. Online dating. A birthday party when you know someone is single and your friend wants to recommend you. A wedding. Environments like that. Don't approach random women like a creep. So all of these things don't work. And eventually you go back to your friend pornography that is there to give you a guaranteed dopamine rush, guaranteed adrenaline rush, and you feel better. And eventually, especially if you have fetishes, you have watched everything there is about this fetish, for example, black men with white women, like I said, and someone that I know, and you have to start buying content because you watched everything that was for free, right? And then you get into the rabbit hole that is called OnlyFans and interactive porn, aka campsites. And interactive porn can be one of the most addictive things in the world because it covers all of your needs and asks for nothing back but money. I'm not saying this to actually invalidate money or invalidate the people who do it and get paid, but there is a massive problem with this. It should be a crutch on your life to help you sort things out before you eventually find an actual partner. It shouldn't be your entire life. First of all, because you already get a fix, you never reach levels of extreme pain. You need extreme pain because human beings, either we seek pleasure or we try to avoid pain. Those are still our two main motivators. Porn keeps you in a semi-sedated, lethargic situation, like you feel bad, you feel like shit most of the time, you don't feel too bad, so you continue. The other problem that happens is that in the miraculous case you actually score a girlfriend, it's not going to excite you and help you produce adrenaline and dopamine to sustain the relationship, sexually I mean. I say that because if I had $1 every time there was a guy that he would say, my girlfriend isn't like you, my wife isn't like you, I would be a billionaire. And I don't say this that me or anyone who does this job is better, not at all, but it's different to be a professional seducer. It's different to see a person only when they are at their best, like wearing clothes and lingerie and stuff. For me, what I'm going to wear in those shows and in this content that there is on OnlyFans is one of my first priorities in terms of expenses. That is because I don't have a vanilla job. I've quit all of that stuff, so I can afford to wear, let's say, a $10 cut shirt and go outside. and I can spend $200 buying like stockings and suspenders and cosplay and I don't know what. The average girl cannot do that. Also, the average girl, after 5, 6, 10 months in a relationship, a year, she doesn't try to actually seduce you all day, every day, and always be positive, always be uplifting, because as a human being, she has a job and so on. So eventually your relationship is going to feel unfulfilling and it's going to fail. The other thing is that watching pornography doesn't help you build any actual skills to be an actual decent partner. So you won't know what to do with her, because we learn through trial and error, we learn through social interactions, you won't be having any, and again the relationship will fail. So if you see all of those things and months turn into years and you haven't actually worked on yourself to do some positive change, and I'm going to tell you step by step what you need to do to get out of this mess, eventually your life is going to be ruined. There are people who lost their fortunes, there are people who died alone, there are people who lost their partners because of porn addiction, and there are people who got blackmailed, like sextortion. Someone films you when you do a private show and then threatens to upload it online. There are people who actually had their content uploaded online and their job fired them, and so on. The first thing you need to do is awareness that you have a problem. And you're going to say, how do I know that I have a problem? If you watch this video and you feel bad, that deep down you know that I'm right in that the consumption of this type of content interferes with your productivity and your daily life, and it's like, oh, I'm just going to go watch for 4 minutes and then it's the morning, then you have a problem. If you can afford therapy, by all means do so. Have you seen this wristband technique that you like wrap it around your wrist and you snap it every time there's a problem, or you have a negative thought, or you feel like you want to smoke, and at the end of the day you're sore and you realize how many times you wanted to smoke? Just that it does the same but with your dick. So I had subs who told me I don't have a problem, and they would say lock yourself for 24 hours and then see how many times you reach through your cock. And they were like, holy shit, it was 50 times, so you have a problem. Thing number 3, face whatever is creating the adrenaline exhaustion and the low testosterone. You have to get your testosterone levels checked. You have to fix your diet. I'm not going to help any more people who tell me I smoke, I eat junk food, I don't want to move from the couch, but I want to feel better. I can't do that. Even doctors can't do that. You're just digging your own grave. You have to start eating foods that promote building testosterone. Get supplements if the doctor says that you need them, not illegally from the dark web or I don't know what. If there are toxic people in your life, you have to cut them off or go low contact or set boundaries, and you have to start getting natural sources of adrenaline and dopamine. Working out is a great source. Doing something that you're proud of. Start a side gig, start a hobby, something that makes you feel good about yourself. Surround yourself by people who make you feel good. Acceptance is a great tool. Accepting that your penis is 2 inches and dedicating yourself to a goddess is a much better choice than being in denial and going out again and again and again on Tinder dates that just take your money and leave you stranded. And most importantly, don't give up. I have so many people who are very, very ashamed. It's so common. I have people literally contacting me every day for that. It's not your fault. I truly believe it's part of the depopulation plan and the dystopia. If you don't know my semi-conspiracy videos about the depopulation plan, watch it. It's not a coincidence that in my dad's time, that he was like, when my dad was in his 20s, that he's now in his 50s, you could actually have to go to, let's say, a bookstore to order porn and buy it, and it took months to arrive, and you're ashamed, and it was so difficult to have access to it. And now it's everywhere. You're going to say the internet, we have the internet now, true, but just because you have the internet doesn't mean you need to have it like on your face, you know? So it's something that is targeting you, and it's not you that you're a bad person or you lack self-discipline or you are immoral and so on. And at the end of the day, wanting to have sex and wanting to have orgasms, it's a natural thing. I don't care what religions say that you should somehow not do it. The problem is when it starts becoming compulsive. And usually it becomes compulsive to distract you from other problems in your life or to give you some balance artificially for a bit. After a few hours, it will fade. Okay, if you want more, if you want to talk to me, you can join my OnlyFans. There's a chat function. You can talk to me there. I hope this helped.